The morning light comes slowly to Jerusalem. It filters through the narrow window of my small room, touching the rough stone walls with a pale, golden warmth. I have been awake for hours already. Sleep has become a stranger to me in these recent days, arriving late and leaving early, as if it too cannot bear to stay long in this city that feels so changed. My name is Naomi. I am a widow. I have been a widow for 3 years now, since my husband Tobias passed from this life into whatever lies beyond. He was a good man, a kind man, a carpenter who worked with his hands and spoke little but loved deeply. When he died, I thought I understood what loss meant. I thought I had learned the full weight of grief. But these past weeks have taught me that grief has many forms, and that a heart can break in ways it has never broken before. I rise from my mat and wrap my shawl around my shoulders. The fabric is worn thin in places, but it was a gift from Tobias in our early years together, and I cannot bring myself to replace it. My fingers trace the edge of it as I stand, a habit born of memory and comfort. The room is small, just large enough for my sleeping mat, a wooden chest that holds my few possessions, and a clay lamp that sits in the corner. The walls are bare except for a single shelf where I keep a jar of oil, some grain, and a cup. This is my life now. Simple, quiet, small. I move to the window and look out over the rooftops of Jerusalem. The city is beginning to stir. I can hear distant voices, the sound of a door opening, the soft bleating of a goat below. The sky is brightening, shifting from deep blue to a softer shade, the color of a dove's wing. It is beautiful, this morning light, but there is a heaviness in my chest that will not lift. Everything feels different now. It has been only days since Passover ended, days since the crucifixion, days since the man they called Jesus of Nazareth was put to death on a Roman cross outside the city walls. I did not know him personally. I never spoke to him, never stood close enough to hear his voice or see his face clearly. But I had heard of him. Everyone in Jerusalem had heard of him. For months, his name had been on every tongue, whispered in the markets, debated in the courtyards, shouted in the streets. Some said he was a prophet. Some said he was the Messiah, the one sent by God to save Israel. Others said he was a troublemaker, a blasphemer, a man who would bring ruin upon us all. I did not know what to believe, but I had seen the crowds that followed him. I had watched from a distance as people pressed close to him, reaching out to touch the edge of his cloak, calling out for healing, for mercy, for hope. There was something about him that drew people in, something that made them believe that perhaps, just perhaps, things could be different, that suffering could end, that the broken could be made whole, that God had not forgotten his people. And then just as suddenly as he had appeared, he was gone, arrested in the night, tried before the authorities, condemned, beaten, crucified. I was not there when it happened. I did not go to Golgotha to watch. I could not bear it. The thought of seeing another man suffer, another life snuffed out, was too much for me. I had already buried my husband. I had already watched death take someone I loved. I did not need to see it again. But I heard the stories afterward. Everyone did. They said he hung on the cross for hours, dying slowly under the midday sun. They said the sky grew dark, as if the light itself could not bear to witness what was happening. They said he cried out near the end, a sound of agony and surrender, and then, finally, he died. They took his body down and laid it in a tomb. A stone was rolled across the entrance. Soldiers were posted to guard it, to make sure no one stole the body away. And that, it seemed, was the end. The end of the hope that so many had carried. The end of the belief that this man might truly be the one to deliver Israel. The end of the story. But then something happened. Rumors began to spread. Whispers at first, quiet and uncertain, but growing louder with each passing hour. People said the tomb was empty. They said the stone had been rolled away. They said his body was gone. Some claimed it had been stolen. Others said something impossible, something that defied all reason and understanding. They said he was alive. They said he had risen from the dead. I did not know what to make of these rumors. Part of me wanted to dismiss them as foolishness, as the desperate imaginings of people who could not accept that their hope had died. But another part of me, a part I barely dared to acknowledge, wondered if perhaps it could be true. Because if it was true, if this man had truly conquered death itself, then everything we thought we knew about the world was wrong, and everything we had ever hoped for might still be possible. I turn away from the window and move toward the door. My stomach is empty, but I am not hungry. There is too much churning inside me, too many questions, too many feelings I cannot name. Still, I know I must go out. I need bread. I need water. I need to continue with the simple tasks of living, even when living feels unbearably heavy. I step out into the narrow street. The air is cool, but it will grow warm as the day progresses. A few neighbors are already moving about, beginning their daily routines. A woman carries a water jar on her shoulder. A man leads a donkey laden with bundles of wood. No one speaks to me, and I do not speak to them. We are all caught up in our own small worlds, our own small struggles. But as I walk, I cannot stop thinking about the rumors, about the empty tomb, about the man who might impossibly be alive. The marketplace is already crowded by the time I arrive. Voices rise and fall around me, a constant hum of negotiation and greeting, of laughter and complaint. Merchants call out their wares from behind wooden tables laden with goods. There are baskets of grain and barley, jars of oil and honey, dried fish laid out on cloth, vegetables still dusty from the fields. The smells mix together in the warm air, bread baking somewhere nearby, the sharp tang of vinegar, the earthy scent of cumin and coriander. I move slowly through the crowd, my eyes scanning for what I need. A loaf of bread, perhaps some lentils if I can afford them. My coins are few, and I must make them last. As a widow with no sons, no family to support me, I rely on the small earnings I make from mending clothes for others. It is not much, but it keeps me fed. It keeps me alive. I approach a bread seller, an older man with a gray beard and kind eyes. He knows me. I have bought from him many times before. He nods as I draw near, already reaching for a small loaf. "Naomi," he says, his voice rough but warm, "how are you this morning?" "I am well enough," I reply, though the words feel hollow. I am not well. I have not been well for a long time. But what else can I say? He does not need to carry the weight of my grief along with his own burdens. He places the bread in my hands, and I give him the coins I have counted out carefully. The transaction is simple, familiar, a small moment of normalcy in a world that feels increasingly strange. But as I turn to leave, I hear voices nearby. Sharp voices, urgent voices. A small group has gathered just a few paces away near the vegetable stalls. Men and women are speaking over one another, their words tumbling out in a rush of excitement and confusion. I pause, my curiosity stirring despite myself. "I heard it from Miriam herself," a woman is saying, her voice high and breathless. "She was there. She saw it with her own eyes." "Saw what?" another voice demands. "An empty tomb? That proves nothing. Someone moved the body, the disciples probably. They wanted to make it seem like, no, you do not understand." The first woman interrupts, her hands gesturing wildly. "She saw him. She spoke to him. It was not a spirit. It was not a vision. It was him, alive, as real as you and I." A silence falls over the group, heavy and uncertain. Then a man speaks, his tone skeptical, almost mocking. "You expect us to believe that? A dead man walking around Jerusalem? This is madness." "I am only telling you what she said," the woman insists, her voice defensive now. "Miriam is not a liar. She is not prone to fits or fantasies. She knows what she saw." I find myself drawing closer, unable to resist. My heart is beating faster now, a strange mixture of fear and hope rising in my chest. I want to hear more. I need to hear more. Another woman joins the conversation, her voice quieter but firm. It is not only Miriam. I heard that several of his followers have seen him. Peter, they say, and John. They went to the tomb themselves and found it empty, just as the women said. And then later he appeared to them. In a locked room, they say. He simply appeared. This is foolishness, the skeptical man says again, shaking his head. Dead men do not come back to life. It is against all reason, against all nature. The Romans crucified him. We all know what that means. No one survives a Roman cross. But what if? A younger voice begins, hesitant, uncertain. What if what? The man snaps. What if the laws of creation have suddenly changed? What if death is no longer death? You cannot ask us to believe such things. But even as he speaks, I can hear the doubt in his own voice, the uncertainty. He wants to dismiss it, to cling to what he knows, what makes sense. But something in him is wavering. And I understand that feeling. Because I feel it too. I stand at the edge of the group, silent, listening. Part of me wants to walk away, to return to my small room and close the door and pretend none of this is happening. It would be easier that way, safer. To believe that the world operates according to rules we understand, that death is final, that hope is only a fleeting illusion we create to comfort ourselves. But another part of me cannot walk away. Because if these rumors are true, if this man has truly risen from the dead, then everything I thought I understood about life and death, about suffering and loss, about God himself, must be reconsidered. The conversation continues around me, voices rising and falling, arguments tangled with questions, disbelief mingled with desperate wanting. I listen to it all, absorbing every word, every tone, every emotion, and then quietly, almost without meaning to, I speak. Where is he now? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. The group turns to look at me. Several faces register surprise. I am not someone who usually speaks up in public. I am a widow, a woman alone, someone easily overlooked. But the question has escaped my lips, and now it hangs in the air between us. The first woman, the one who spoke of Miriam, meets my eyes. There is something in her gaze, something that looks like compassion mixed with uncertainty. No one knows for certain, she says gently. He appears and then disappears. Some say he is still in the city. Others say he has gone to Galilee. His followers are gathering, trying to make sense of it all. But everything is happening so quickly, so strangely. Nothing is clear. I nod slowly, my mind racing. Nothing is clear. That much, at least, feels true. The skeptical man has turned away now, muttering under his breath, clearly done with the conversation. Others in the group begin to drift off as well, returning to their errands, their daily tasks. The moment of intensity fades, dissolving back into the ordinary rhythm of the marketplace. But I remain standing there, the bread still clutched in my hands, my heart still beating too fast. Where is he now? And why does it matter so much to me, a woman who never even knew him? I think of Tobias. I think of the day he died, the way his breathing grew shallow and then stopped, the way his hand went cold in mine. I think of the tomb where we laid him, the stone that sealed him in, the finality of it all. Death had taken him from me, and there was no bringing him back. That was the way of the world. That was the unchangeable truth. But what if death is not unchangeable? What if there is something beyond the grave, something more than emptiness and silence and loss? What if hope is not an illusion after all? I turn and begin to walk away from the marketplace, my steps slow and unsteady. My mind is full of questions that have no answers, feelings that I cannot name or understand. The bread in my hands feels heavier than it should, as if it carries the weight of everything I am thinking, everything I am wondering. The city moves around me, busy and loud and alive. But inside, I feel as if I am standing at the edge of something vast and unknown, something that both terrifies and calls to me. I do not know what any of this means, but I know that I cannot ignore it. I know that something has changed, not just in Jerusalem, but in me. And I know that I must find out more. I do not go home right away. My feet carry me through the streets as if they have decided something my mind has not yet fully understood. The marketplace fades behind me, its noise dissolving into the background as I move toward the quieter parts of the city. Narrow alleys twist between stone houses. Shadows cling to the walls where the sun cannot quite reach. Somewhere nearby, a child laughs. Somewhere else, someone argues. Life continues, indifferent to the questions burning inside me. I hold the bread close to my chest, forgotten. For years, my days have followed the same simple pattern: wake, work, eat, sleep, survive. Grief had settled into my bones like an old ache, painful but familiar. I knew how to live with it. I knew how to keep my head down and my heart guarded. Hope was not something I allowed myself to want anymore. Wanting led to loss. Loss led to pain. Pain was something I had already endured enough of. And yet now, hope has found me anyway. Not gently, not politely. It has crept in through rumors and whispers, through half-spoken testimonies and trembling voices in the market. It has unsettled me, stirred something long buried, something I thought I had buried with Tobias. I turn a corner and nearly collide with an older woman carrying a basket of figs. She startles, then steadies herself. "Forgive me," I say quickly. She peers at me, her eyes sharp despite her age. "Your mind is elsewhere," she says, not unkindly. "Yes," I admit. "It is." She nods as if this makes perfect sense and continues on her way. I watch her go, wondering how many others are walking through Jerusalem today with distracted minds and restless hearts. How many are pretending nothing has changed, even as something deep inside them has already shifted. I find myself drawn toward the part of the city near the western hill, not far from where some of Jesus' followers are said to have gathered before. I do not know exactly where I'm going. I only know that I cannot return to my small room just yet. The walls there feel too close, too confining for the thoughts pressing in on me. As I walk, memories rise unbidden. I remember the day Tobias fell ill, how sudden it was. One day he was strong, his hands steady as he worked the wood. The next he was pale and shaking, his breath coming in shallow gasps. We prayed. I prayed harder than I ever had before. I begged God to spare him, to take anything else instead. My strength, my years, my peace, anything. But God was silent. Tobias died and the silence remained. After that, my prayers changed. They became shorter, careful, less hopeful. I still believed in God, of course. How could I not? He was the God of our fathers, the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. But belief did not feel the same as trust. Trust requires the courage to expect something in return. Jesus of Nazareth had spoken of God differently, they said, as a father, as someone near, someone who saw and cared and acted. He spoke of mercy and restoration, of the lowly being lifted up. He spoke of a kingdom that did not look like power as we understood it. And now they say death itself could not hold him. I stop walking. The thought hits me with sudden force. If this is true, then God was not silent after all. If this is true, then maybe the silence was not absence, but waiting. Waiting for something greater than I could imagine. My chest tightens, and I press a hand against it, steadying myself. This way of thinking is dangerous. Hope is dangerous. It opens old wounds. It invites disappointment. I know this. I have lived this. And yet, I continue on. Ahead of me, I notice a small group of people standing near a shaded courtyard. They are speaking quietly, their heads close together. One of them gestures as they talk, his hands moving with urgency. Another keeps glancing over her shoulder, as if afraid of being overheard. My heart begins to pound. These are not merchants, not neighbors passing time. These are people bound together by something unseen, something urgent. I slow my steps, unsure whether to approach or turn away. What am I doing? I ask myself. I am no disciple. I am no follower. I'm just a widow trying to survive. I do not belong among people chasing impossible stories and dangerous hopes. Association with such things could bring trouble. The authorities are watching. The Romans are watching. Even the religious leaders are watching. To be connected to this movement could cost everything. And yet, what do I have left to lose? I think of my empty room, my quiet evenings, my carefully managed sorrow. I think of the long years ahead, stretching out the same as the years behind me. Safe, predictable, colorless. I take another step forward. One of the women in the group notices me. Her eyes meet mine, and for a moment we simply look at each other. There is no suspicion in her gaze, only weariness and something else. Hope. Not loud hope, not triumphant hope, but fragile hope, held carefully as if it might shatter if handled too roughly. "Are you looking for someone?" she asks softly. I hesitate. My voice feels distant when I answer. I heard that his followers gather nearby. She studies my face as if weighing something. Then she nods once. "You are not the only one." She steps aside slightly, making room for me. I do not know what I expect to find. Proof, perhaps. Certainty. A clear answer that will quiet the storm inside me. But even as I join them, I sense that what lies ahead is not certainty, but invitation. An invitation to listen. An invitation to question. An invitation to step beyond the narrow life I have built to protect myself. I stand with them now, among strangers who feel, inexplicably, less strange than they should. The city continues around us, unaware of the quiet tension gathered in this small space. Somewhere in Jerusalem, they say, a man once dead now lives. And for the first time in years, I allow myself to wonder if life, real life, might be possible for me as well. The small group around me grows quiet as I take my place among them. No one asks who I am or why I am here. There is no judgment in their eyes, only the quiet patience of people who have come together in search of something greater. They are not loud or boisterous. They speak in hushed tones, as if they fear their words might somehow disrupt the fragile peace that holds them together. The man who spoke before, the one who was so certain of his doubts, has fallen silent, his face drawn tight with uncertainty. I take a deep breath and listen. "We do not know everything," one of the women says, her voice gentle but steady. "But we know what we have seen. We know what we have felt. Something has changed. Something is different." There is a pause, a moment of stillness where the weight of her words settles over us all. The man who had been skeptical shifts uncomfortably, but he does not speak. A man near the back of the group, his hands clasped tightly together, looks up at her. "Do you think he will come back?" he asks. His voice trembles slightly, as if he is unsure whether it is okay to ask the question aloud. The woman hesitates, then nods. "We hope he will. We believe he will." I feel my chest tighten at the words. We believe he will. Belief. It feels like such a dangerous thing. I have spent so long guarding my heart, keeping it safe from pain. How can I allow myself to hope again? How can I risk it? But something in me wants to. I want to believe. Another voice speaks up, this one softer, almost shy. "It's strange, isn't it? How the world can go on like nothing has happened, but everything has changed. I keep thinking that if I just step out into the streets, the whole world will see it, will feel it. But no one seems to notice." The woman who spoke before nods again. "It's the way of things. It's always been this way. The world does not change all at once. It changes slowly, one heart at a time." I think of the streets of Jerusalem, of the busy marketplace, the noise and the motion of people moving through their daily lives. None of them seem to notice. None of them seem to know what we know or what we believe. Yet I feel it. I feel the change, deep inside me. I feel the hope stirring again. I glance around at the faces of the group. There is no grand proclamation here, no loud speeches or promises of glory. Just people who have seen something impossible, something that has made them question everything they thought they knew about life and death. And now they are quietly waiting, waiting for something more. I am waiting too. I do not know how long we stand there, just listening to one another. sharing what we have experienced, what we have seen, what we hope for. It feels like a small sacred space, a place where the world's noise falls away and only the quiet truth remains. I begin to realize that hope is not the same as certainty. Hope is not something we hold on to because we know what will happen. Hope is something we hold on to because we believe that something better is possible. And in this moment, standing here with these strangers who feel like they are no longer strangers, I allow myself to hope. Maybe, just maybe, this man, this man who was dead and is now alive, has come to show us something we cannot yet fully understand. The sun begins to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the city. The quiet in the courtyard feels different now, as if something has shifted in the air. The others around me continue to talk, their voices soft and steady, but my mind is elsewhere. I cannot stop thinking about what I have heard today, about the stories of Jesus, how he was dead and now lives. It sounds impossible. It sounds like a dream, but I cannot ignore the way it feels in my heart. Something deep inside me stirs whenever I hear their words. I want to believe. I need to believe. But there is still doubt. There is still fear. How could I, a simple widow, be part of something so extraordinary? I stand there, still holding the bread in my hands. It has become heavy, as though it carries the weight of all the questions I have, all the uncertainty. I am afraid to let go of my old life, afraid to step into something unknown. One of the men who has been silent for a while stands up. He looks around at all of us, his face full of quiet determination. "I think we should pray," he says softly. "We don't know all the answers, but we know the one who does." A hush falls over the group. Everyone turns to him, and then, slowly, we all nod. It is not a grand prayer, not a loud one. We do not need fancy words. We simply bow our heads, close our eyes, and in the stillness of that moment, we pray. It is a simple prayer, nothing elaborate. We ask for strength, we ask for understanding, and most of all, we ask for hope. I do not know why, but when I pray, it feels like I am speaking to someone I cannot see, someone who listens. It is not a stranger. It is not an empty sky. It feels familiar. It feels real. When the prayer ends, I do not feel a sudden rush of answers. There are no grand signs, but I feel something shift inside me. It is as though a door has opened, just a crack. A sliver of light has slipped through the darkness, and it feels warm. I raise my head and look around at the others. They are standing in silence now, each lost in their own thoughts, but I can see something in their faces. Something like peace. Something like certainty. "We are not alone," one of the women whispers, her voice steady but full of emotion. "We are not alone in this." I nod, the weight in my chest lifting just a little. No, we are not alone. I think of Tobias, of the years I spent alone after his death. The loneliness, the quiet ache. It has been so long since I felt anything other than sorrow. But in this moment, standing here among strangers who have become something more, I realize that I am not alone anymore. And I wonder if this is the beginning of something new, something beyond what I have known. The days pass and the world around me moves on, but something in me has changed. I find myself looking at the people in the streets differently. The merchant selling his goods, the woman hurrying to fetch water, the children laughing and playing without a care. They are all moving through their lives, unaware of the stirrings inside me. The whispers of the resurrection are still growing. More people are talking about it, and I feel a tension in the air, a sense of something waiting to happen. Some call it madness, others call it a miracle. But I no longer care about the labels. I only know that something inside me has shifted. One morning, I find myself at the edge of the city, near the tombs, where I heard he had been buried. A few others are gathered there too, standing silently, as if they are waiting for something. I stand with them, not knowing what to expect, not knowing what I'm looking for. But then a voice I know, Naomi. I turn, and there he is. The man who was dead and is now alive. It is not grand, it is not dramatic. There is no angelic light or thunderous sound. There is only the calm of his presence, the quiet certainty that fills the space between us. He looks at me, and I feel something stir deep within me, something like recognition, but more. It is as if the very earth beneath my feet knows the truth before I do. Do you believe? He asks softly, his gaze steady but full of compassion. I can hardly speak. The words are caught in my throat, tangled with everything I felt, everything I feared, and everything I now know to be true. I want to, I whisper, my voice trembling. I want to believe, but it's hard. His smile is small but full of understanding. It is hard, but faith is like a seed. It grows, even when we cannot see it. It does not come all at once. I want to say more. I want to ask so many things, but I don't need to. His presence, his words, have already answered what I could not put into words. The hope that had been a distant whisper inside me is now a flame, steady and bright. I will follow, I say finally. I will believe. The city continues to move around us, unaware of this moment, of this quiet miracle. But in my heart, something has shifted. Something has begun. The door I had so carefully closed has opened, and I am walking through it. Before we end the journey here, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What has this story stirred inside you? Comment below and share your reflections. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it too. You never know how the smallest words can change a heart. Remember, just like Naomi's journey, your own path of hope and belief doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to start. The days that follow feel like a dream, slow, steady, but full of quiet wonder. I walk the streets of Jerusalem with a different heart now. The people around me are the same, but I am not. I no longer look at the world through the eyes of a widow, resigned and waiting for life to pass me by. I see it with eyes that have been opened, with a heart that has tasted hope and will never forget the feeling. The resurrection is real. The man who once called himself the Son of God is alive. And he is everywhere, in the whispers of the wind, in the warmth of the sun, in the hearts of those who choose to believe. I have heard the stories. I have listened to the testimonies. I have felt the change within myself. But now, it is not enough to keep this hope locked inside. It is not enough to believe quietly, to hide it in the corners of my heart. It must be shared. It must be spoken. So I begin to speak. I tell the women at the well. I tell the merchant who sold me bread. I tell the children who run by in the streets. I share the story of the man who conquered death, who came back for us all. And as I speak, I see something change in them. A flicker of hope, a spark of belief, a moment of recognition. They hear the truth in my words, and for the first time I see that they are listening. There are many who do not believe. There are many who scoff and walk away, who cannot understand the impossible. But I know something they do not. I know that the world does not change all at once. It changes one heart at a time. I look around me and see the faces of those who have shared this journey. I see them with new eyes, eyes that know the weight of resurrection. We are not alone. We are all part of something bigger than we can see. And as I stand in the center of this bustling city, filled with life and noise and stories, I realize that my own story is not just mine anymore. It is part of the story of all who have been touched by his resurrection. It is part of the story of hope that will never fade. This is where Naomi's journey ends, but where does yours begin? If you found something in her story that has touched you, I invite you to share it. Comment below with your thoughts. How does the message of hope resonate in your own life? Are you walking through a journey of resurrection in your heart? Don't keep this hope to yourself. Share this story with someone who needs it. Sometimes the smallest act of sharing can spark something that lasts a lifetime. And remember, just like Naomi, you're not alone. We are all part of this story of hope, of life, and of resurrection. Thank you for journeying through this story with me. If it's resonated with you, be sure to comment, share, and let others know they're not alone either.